And why is that so important? Why is, in today's environment, your job more important than most markets that we've been in at this point? There's a couple of reasons why.
It's a good question.
But why?
That's a big question. I think mainly because we are kind of like, I don't like to use the word gatekeeper, but we're the fulcrum upon which most real estate transactions kind of swing. And that we're looking at the real estate for mortgage transactions to make sure that it's vetted well, that the collateral that they're using for the loan is what it needs to be for the bank. We found out how very important appraisers were, about 13 years ago when the market decided to go belly up. And a lot of that, there were some things going on in the valuation market that caused some of that. So it's a very important profession. Sometimes I forget how big it is.
Well, it definitely is. As we refer to it, or as Neil Williamson refers to it, and I stole it, as the time of great unpleasantness, right? And so just to compare the two, what was going on then, because this question comes up quite a bit. Are we going to have a repeat of 2008, 2009, 2010? There's many reasons why I don't think it will, but I think a lot of it lands on the appraisal process. So what was the difference between that and now?
Well, I mean, ultimately, the difference between it, I think now banks and lending institutions are being more careful with their collateral. They actually want it vetted. Back 13, 14 years ago, they were just... appraising for most lenders were just, hey, it's a box we got to check to facilitate a closing. Let's make it happen as quickly as we can, as cheaply as we can, and let's not hire qualified people. I mean, that was a big problem back then. But I think that's not putting too fine of a pen into it, I guess.
But the regulatory requirements changed quite a bit as
big time.
Part
big
of
time.
that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's most lending institutions that we work with now, I can't, as far as the transaction goes, I'm not allowed to speak with the loan officer. Anyone who's commissioned in it, except for the real estate agents, we're really not supposed to be talking to. There's nothing illegal about it, but that's the policy of a lot of lenders, because there was quite a bit of collusion going on back in that market 13, 14 years ago.
And, I want to highlight this as we wind down the first sizzle reel and end the first one with what Woody says here. Q set the stage perfectly. Another reason this is different from the time of great unpleasantness, 08, 09 housing crash, one word, equity. I mean, people are sitting on stacks of paper right now, which is breeding security, which is very different with what was happening back then. Your thoughts?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the other big thing, too, is that, the markets 14 years ago were basically a lot of investors were acting like heroin addicts. It was uncontrolled gambling. They were taking a lot of mortgage-backed security paper, where they take the mortgages, they sell them on the secondary to investors, to Fannie Mae, to Freddie Mac, and they were putting together really badly graded paper and putting it in with really good paper, and it was toxic. Everything was toxic the way that they were doing. So a lot of it had to do with how they were investing in the stock market itself. It caused a lot of problems.